In this video, we're going to demonstrate how to add code comments. A code comment is code that you write that doesn't get compiled. It doesn't get processed by the .NET Framework runtime. Why would you want to write code that doesn't get processed or compiled? Well, there's actually three reasons why you might want to do that. The first one is that you want to add some explanation to remind yourself or to let others who might be looking at your code in the future know exactly what you were trying to accomplish in a given code block. The second reason is that you want to temporarily remove some code from the compilation process. Developer will use the term, hey, I commented out this line of code because I thought it might be causing or introducing a bug. Commenting out a line of code is a typical practice by developers in an effort to debug or to change or see what it would be like if they tried something from a different approach without losing all the work that they'd done previously. And then the third reason is because you want to remind yourself that there's unfinished work that you're going to need to revisit at some point in the future. I'm going to come back to this later. Just a note to self. Okay, so let's take a look at some of the basics about commenting out code. If you just want to comment out a single line of code and you don't want it to be processed, in this case, let's get rid of this line of code we wrote in the previous video. I don't want to delete it because, you know, we were going to talk about this again tomorrow, but it's preventing me from running the application. If I try to run it, it's going to say no. Okay, I already know there's a bug there. So what can I do? Well, I'll just put my cursor right before the beginning of the line. I'm going to hit the / twice. And notice that the whole line turns green, and that lets us know that it is a comment. It's no longer useful for our purposes, for compiling purposes. But we might want to, at some point in the future, completely delete this line of code, or we might want to uncomment it if we're going to work on it some more or try to reintroduce it back into our application. Okay, so just 2 slashes is how you comment out one line of code. But suppose I want to comment out a bunch of lines of code all at the same time. Well, it would be laborious to go through and do this and this, whoops, and this. All right, is there a better way? Absolutely. Let me just get rid of all this first. Okay, is there a better way to do it? Absolutely. What you can do, 1 / and then an asterisk, which is above the 8. Now, the trick here is that you got to close it as well, so I'm going to do that. And now we've commented out multiple lines. Everything between that open / asterisk and the close asterisk / will no longer be processed. These are all code comments, and that's typically what I do when I comment out stuff. Usually I need to comment out multiple lines, so you've got to remember both the double slashes and then the / asterisk nomenclature. All right. There's another thing you can do as well, like for example, if I were to start off and then start hitting the return button, notice that it adds asterisks. And the reason for that is just to visually, again, see that you're in asterisk mode. And typically you'd use this for whenever you're typing some notes about the code itself. Say, this section of code is used to calculate the meaning of life. Hint, the answer is in here. So let me do this. Let me just get rid of this and you can see how helpful this is. We'll just go, I'm typing along the answer. I'm going to hit return on my keyboard. With the return, it adds that asterisk. Should come out to 42. All right. Now, if I don't finish this, all of my code blocks here will not have a happy ending. So let's go ahead and run. Errors, can't do it. What's problem? Expected, expected, expected. What? They're there? No, they're not. We forgot to. Oh, here's another error. It says end of file found when it was expecting us to finish up with one of these. Okay. So there you go. That's the second reason why you'd want to use multiple lines of comments. Here's another cool thing. Let me do this. Let me get rid of all these. Just rip them out. So say you didn't want to type it in and you were lazy and you just wanted to do one line of code and comment out this line of code and comment out this line of code. Notice I'm hitting the comment out selected lines. I could do actually multiple lines and use this technique. Bam. Now notice it uses just 2 individual comments to make this happen. And then the reverse is true as well. The button right next to it, uncomment the selected lines, will remove the comments. And I don't even have to highlight it. I can just put my cursor on that line somewhere and it will uncomment those lines of code. Okay, so the last thing that I want to show before we conclude is there is a neat feature. You can make live hyperlinks within your comments. So say, for example, you found something that was particularly important for reference purposes for a section of code that you're about to write. Say that you know you're going to pass this code off to somebody else who might not be familiar with a particular method or class in the .NET Framework class library. So what can you do to kind of write some notes? Well, you could always just type in some URL, right? And I'm just going to type in msdn.microsoft.com. But that URL is now hot. It's clickable. So if I were to hold down the Control key and then click the mouse button, we would open up that URL. Okay. So at any rate, that's it for comments. We'll be using comments a lot throughout the rest of this video series, and so just wanted to introduce that notion right now. So we'll see you in the next video. Thank you.